Welcome to Fat Man Beyond. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Hey! Holy fuck, man. We are in Vancouver, British Columbia at the gorgeous Rio Theater. Put your hands together so the folks at home know you're real. It's so appropriate that we do the Fat Man Beyond here, man, because like I, as you previously just heard, I saved at the theater.
You're a hero.
Yeah, I was a hero of sorts and stuff. And it was very nice. I saw last week, I think it was, the Rio put up pictures to a few people that, like me, Ryan Reynolds, put out a tweet and stuff like that. Seth Rogen put out a tweet. I showed up and did 2 fucking shows. So... Not for nothing, I may not be a native son of Vancouver, but I beat both of those fucks. And so in any event, they took pictures of, in the back or somewhere, there are seats that aren't front row? Is that where they are? Where are they? Somebody sitting in the Kevin Smith seat? You, my friend, are sitting in the Kevin Smith seat. Guess what you win? A joint. No. This is Vancouver, you can find that anywhere. I need these. Very lovely, man. It was quite an honor and stuff. And I dig this theater. I'm so glad it's saved. There's very few art houses left in the world. And not only can you show flicks here, but you can do shit like this. You can do all sorts of wonderful things with it. So that's what hopefully the ladies will continue to do. Give it up for them, man. They saved the Rio. Okay. I've been up in Vancouver now for the last, like about a week, I guess it's coming up on. I am up here not just because I love the Pacific Northwest and rain, but I came up to do my 4th episode of Supergirl, which is quite thrilling for me. I've never done 4 of anything, no. I had one, well, technically, I guess one misadventure yesterday on the streets of fucking Vancouver and stuff. You know me, I'm a fan of the green, right?
Yes, the Irish.
Yes, absolutely. Love them, good people, potato eaters and stuff. So in any event, I just, that part of the story is relevant and disconnected. I just wanted to say that. Now this is a story about me and my car. Has nothing to do with that.
Okay, I'm gonna put the weed back here, just for safekeeping.
It's just something for the background of the story. So, as I'm driving home, I take Hastings, the Hastings exit, and I'm going down Hastings and stuff. And I'm pretty easy to get along with in every fucking area of life except on the road. On the road, I'm an absolute asshole. I drive, it's all the worst characteristics.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah. Oh fuck. It's nasty. I'm just so bad. It's like me versus all you fucks. I don't know where it comes from. Just Dr. Jekyll releases Hyde and he drives and shit. So. I was driving.
Well, driving with you is like we're gonna get to Valhalla, shiny and chrome, pretty fucking soon.
Look, we're gonna get there. Periodically, I reach into the console and pull out the spray paint and shit. Get ready, we're going down to Hastings.
Shut up, meatbag.
And I love, Canada. I'm on record as loving Canada, but fuck, these people drive slow. And so they're just patient with each other. That's it. They're not slow. They're just courteous. Like, I can't tell you how many people I watch stop and, like, let somebody go. And I'm the guy right on their ass going, no! Like, as if, like, my father was killed by a fucking dark Jedi or something like that.
Who drove real slow.
Yes. So I was driving, and I wasn't driving. Hastings was pretty busy, so it's not. You couldn't be driving too recklessly. Although I was bobbing and weaving through traffic. So we were stopped at a light, and then the light turned green, and I went through the light, and all of a sudden a car, boom, turned on its lights. But it was what I used to call undercover. But Tyler today gave me the term ghost car. He's like, "There's a ghost car." Which sounds way cooler. It's a cop car. But they weren't like, it's an easily identifiable cop car. It was undercover and shit like that.
Was it like a taxi?
No, it wasn't that undercover. It wasn't a transformer. Like a fucking, they were just driving an unmarked car, Mark. Unmarked. Something nobody ever wants to be. So I see the lights come up and I'm like, oh shit. And I have my seatbelt on, which is fucking rare for me, but I'm like, I figure I'm in another country, I better obey their laws and shit. And so I wasn't worried about that. So they come up to the car, and I had my license, pulled my license out, and I went into the glove compartment, and they had like the paperwork because it's a rental car and stuff. And so I see the one officer, lady officer, is coming up on the right. You know how they do. They both creep up on the car and stuff to make sure that you're okay. And so...
Yeah, that's what they always
protect
ask
and
me.
serve, man. That's the idea. So he approaches my window gingerly and stuff, and I'm kind of already holding out my license and that paper, the one paper that was there. And so he goes, hello. And I said, hello. And I give him the paper. And he goes, a rental car. And I said, yes. And he looks at my license and he goes, oh, you're that actor, aren't you? And I didn't know what to say. Because I'm like, well, not if you read my critics. No, not at all. And then I thought, does he think I'm Kevin James? Which happens a lot, you know? More than you would imagine. And I was in Burbank not too long ago, and some fucker, I was getting out to go to a deli, and the dude pulled up to a stop sign. He wasn't driving, he was in the back seat. Dude's hanging out the window, and he sees me. He goes, whoa, Kevin James. And I go, no, not him. I'm the other one. And the guy looks at me like this, and I go, Leia Remini. And he goes like that, and they take away, you know, shit. But he goes, you're that actor. I said, yeah, sometimes. And he gives me my license. He goes, get out of here. And so, you know, rather than just be like, yeah, yes, sir, 10-4, good buddy, and fucking pull out and shit, I needed to know why I was pulled over. You know, I was telling Bob, the AD, the story, and, you know, he's going, I'm sorry, so you wanted him to come closer to your window and have a conversation? And I was like, I hadn't thought about that. But I was just like, what? Like, just out of curiosity, what did I do wrong? And he goes, oh, no, it's not that. He's going, we're this. And he points to his chest, and it says, like, drug enforcement gang patrol, something like that. So he goes, we're this. And I go, oh. And he goes, we're looking for rental cars. Like, the dealers use rental cars, and you have a rental car. We're looking for a drug dealer. I didn't have the heart to tell him he pulled over a drug taker. And so I was like, oh, good to know, thank you. And then, fucking, you know. But actually, I waited for them to go, I'm fucking smart and stuff. And so they pull up, and then the lady officer who hadn't gotten involved and stuff, but she was back in the passenger side of that car, she pulls up beside my car, my window's open, she rolls down her window, and she goes, you're not our clientele. And then they fuck off, man. And my heart was like, pretty fucking awesome. Pretty sweet.
I never tire of hearing white people's super rosy interaction with the police. Oh, hey! I want to know why they pulled me over. I have more questions for you, officer. Now, don't go away. Get your fucking ass back here and tell me what's wrong with me.
I have follow-up questions.
Like, please think I'm an actor. Please think I'm an actor. It could be Kevin Hart. I'm like Kevin Hart, but just as tall, a little bit heavier. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. 10 and 2. 10 and 2.
Yeah, I guess my experience is a little candy-coated, isn't it?
No, but it's cute, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the time I got arrested driving a rental car.
The fuck, serious?
Don't ever go to Daytona, Florida. And you could drive on the beach in Daytona, Florida.
What?
Yeah, you can. Like, you can just literally, there's an on-ramp, and there's a bunch of fucking cars driving on the beach. You can pull off, park your car, and just walk into the fucking surf if you want, because it's Daytona, Florida. Everything is legal. And so I'd rented this Volvo, shiny fucking Volvo, in like 1993.
Oh, that was a banner year for race in our country.
Oh, it was mwah. And so me and my white then girlfriend are driving in my fucking Volvo in like the belly, the cradle of the South. And I just hear, I'm still on the fucking beach, and whoop, whoop, whoop. And like, yes, officer, do you have any knives in the car? Why the fuck do you think I have a knife in the car? Like, that's your first question? Do you have a knife in the car? No, I don't have any knives. How about a gun? Swear to God. Would you like to see my license? All right, I guess. And so, like, I give him my license, and he goes back to the car, and my girlfriend is like, what the fuck is going on? Who are you? You got a fucking drug deal? I've been dating this guy for 9 months, now we're getting arrested in Florida? And he comes back and he says, well, you didn't buy insurance in the car, and you have My license had been randomly suspended. It's another long story. But so you don't have permission to drive this car. We have to arrest you now. It's like, well, my girlfriend can drive the car. It's not as if we're gonna like break more laws by driving away. No, we gotta take you in. So they put me in the back of a cop car. They cuffed me. They drive me into like.
Are you fucking shitting me?
Yeah, they drive me to the Dade County jailhouse, and they leave me in there for 10 minutes while they process my bail, which was $50. But I spent half an hour in the backseat of a cop car and then 10 minutes behind bars. And did not tell my in-laws that, because I then married that lady for 20 fucking years.
So it took you 20 years to be like,
20 years.
let me tell you a story about me dating your dog.
By the way, I knocked her up twice. It's fine. She's not going anywhere. Let me tell you about when I was arrested.
Did she bail you out?
No, I had $50 on me. Like, I post my own bail.
Is that how it works? You can give 50 and be like, that seems like so. Couldn't you just give him $50 on the beach and call it quits?
Well, then it's a bribe. In jail, it's bail. I'm sure it went the same fucking place, but...
If you're an alien watching us, can you pick up the subtle difference between the two?
I mean, we're all laughing, so I don't know if you could.
Yeah, really.
The response is the same. But yeah, then I had to fly back down. I was living in New York at the time. I had to fly back down to appear in court to get it dismissed off my record. Because I think it was just a misdemeanor, but I didn't want a fucking record. I might run for president. Never gonna run for president. But I didn't know at 20 years old what I was gonna fucking do.
Right.
So I flew back down and had it expunged, I guess.
Was that the only time you were ever in a jail cell?
That's the only time I was ever in. Well, I mean, I toured Alcatraz, so I stepped into a jail cell. Welcome to the Rock!
You're not Nick Cage, dude. What you been up to, man? I've been up here doing that. I did take a trip. I've been back to America since I've been up here. I snuck down over the weekend to, this is so stupid, but I fucking love their food. At home, I've been home for a while in Los Angeles. Usually I'm traveling and stuff. But I was home for like a good long month or whatever. And so I fell into this steady routine of like every day around noon or 1 o'clock, I go to Veggie Grill, this restaurant that's near us. It's a vegan joint. But it's delicious. It's fucking good. And it's still plant-based and shit. So my fucking kid can't give me shit and whatnot. I'm still staying. I'm walking the vegan path. And I hate fucking vegetables so much, man. Like, I used to be happy. Now I'm a fucking vegan. But I've found ways to do it without actually eating vegetables all the time and stuff. So, there's like beans count. Like, fucking I eat a lot of chickpeas. Peanut butter and jelly, that's also vegan and stuff. So, that's been my fucking path and shit. And I eat that same meal over and over and over again. When coming up here, suddenly I was like, oh shit, they don't have Veggie Grill in Canada. Like they got now, Vancouver's great for vegan restaurants. They got vegan restaurants up the wazoo and stuff. And a lot of them are really great. But, I was like, that was my meal. And suddenly I was like, what's going to happen, man, if I get rocked off my meal? Like, am I going to gain weight again and shit? Because I was like literally reducing while eating food I enjoyed. And I got worried. And then I was like, well, I'll do it for Supergirl. And so while I was up here, I looked up. There's a Veggie Grill. They're only in 3 states, right? It's in California, Oregon, and Washington. So they got one in Seattle. So it's like 2.5 hours away. So I said to my wife, she came up with me for prep and shit, and I was like, let's do a fucking, like a Smokey and the Bandit cross-border run for some fucking Veggie Grill. She's like, are you fucking serious? You're gonna drive 2.5 hours to get that fucking food? I was like, it's good food, fuck you. And so thus began a married road trip together. And we drove down to Seattle and stayed in a hotel overnight so I could eat it twice. So I could have it on Saturday, we could go to sleep, and then I could get up and have it again on Sunday. The premise was, I was going to go down there to write because I'm working on this other thing and stuff. And I had to finish a draft of it. So I was like, we'll go right there. It's easier to concentrate without all this rain. And so we went for the Veggie Grill run. And then when I was there, before I came back on Sunday, I went to eat again. And it's like when I eat there, it's fucking crazy. My wife loves it. Because I can't help it. It's like when my cousins used to eat cereal when I was a kid, irritated the fuck out of me. They would eat cereal and they go like this. nom, 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 nom. They fucking literally nommed it, the whole fucking meal. Whatever they ate, nom, nom. They said the word fucking nom and shit. Never stopped. My cousin still does it to this day. He's fucking 45. Nom, nom, nom. Like, they were just taught that way. Chew with a word and shit. Onomatopoeia right there in the meal. So this veggie grill experience for me, when I bite into the Beyond Burger, it doesn't matter like who's there. I swear to you, the reaction is always the same, and it cracks my wife up because I don't even think about it. It just fucking happens naturally. But my eyes roll back in my head, and I'm like, and she goes, "That's your cum face." That's how good a veggie grill is, man. So, and she would know. So I brought Veggie Grill back with me. I was like, I didn't want to go crazy. I was like, can I get three? I want to get 3 Beyond Burgers. I want to get 3 orders of veggie nachos, but don't Bondo nachos. But you can't put them together because the shit will get soggy. I need containers of the queso, and then I need the beans over here, and I need the chips over here, and shit like that. And God damn it, man, if this kid wasn't like fucking on it. Like, he understood. He was like, "You're traveling, right?" I said, "Yeah, 2 hours, man." And I was like, "I can't." He goes, "You don't want it soggy." I was like, "I don't. You understand." And he built it perfectly. Very rarely, especially like you take something on the road, like I didn't check it because I can't, like I'm deathly afraid of rudeness. I hate offending people, right? So I would never look in the bag in front of him, see if he got it right and shit. And I didn't even think to do it when I got to the car. I didn't check till I got back home to Vancouver. He packed this shit so well. And I was able to bring Veggie Grill 2 days in a row. Tomorrow's my last day, then I'm fucking out of it and shit.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I'm thinking about like busting out of work early for another run to the border and shit. You're talking about a 5-hour round trip, but fuck, that food is good, man. Like, and I don't have much in my life anymore, you know? They took away all the fun food, so the one thing I eat, it's within 2.5 hours, and I'm like, I can make it. So they are open till like 10 o'clock at night, so conceivably I could leave at like 5 and shit. And when I get to the border, they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "You really don't want to know. It's going to be disappointing as fuck."
Because it's not weed, I swear.
I'm going for Veggie Grill. Have you ever heard it? It's amazing.
I did a road trip like that once for Dunkin' Donuts, which it's like Tim Hortons, but better. Ooh.
Oh my God, you'll lose Canada for us. Take it back. Nothing beats T-Ho's. They call it Timmy's up here. Timmy's.
But no,
We call it Dunkin'. Or now, just today, they announced they're dropping donuts from their name.
What else do they think we're going to get there?
Coffee.
Bullshit.
But they can't, like, donuts makes people go, "Donuts? Oh, I can't eat a donut. That's unhealthy." So now they're going from Dunkin' Donuts. They're just calling it Dunkin'.
That's like KFC will never refer to themselves as Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think
KFC.
mostly because it's barely chicken.
I think they're trying to hide the fried part more than anything else.
Maybe. But yeah, in LA, there hadn't ever been a Dunkin' Donuts or a Dunkin' or a DD or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but they opened one in Barstow, California, which if you don't know how far that is from LA, it's basically like driving to Thunderdome. It's in the middle of the fucking desert, surrounded by like an Air Force base that's kind of decrepit. It is the worst part of Los Angeles.
It looks like the Salton Sea.
It totally is.
Just everything out there is dead, you know?
Yes, dead and on smack. And so my wife was super fucking homesick, and we found out they opened one. She's like, "We're going." I'm like, "It's 2.5 hours for a fucking donut." "I don't care. You want to be married? All right, I guess we're getting in the fucking car and we're driving." And so we drive 2.5 hours for Dunkin' Donuts, which is not as good as Timmy's. I'll give it to you. And we bought 400 fucking donuts.
What?
Because if you're gonna drive 2.5 hours for fucking donuts and they don't go bad, like
That's true.
it's not like I gotta portion them out or I gotta cram them in. So you're like, no, we'll take 3 dozen donuts.
That means you can whip them at each other. You know what I'm saying? That's enough donuts to waste.
Or like passersby. It's like, Cruller!
Think
Woo!
fast. And if they
Bossy
do,
Green.
if they think fast enough and their reflexes are quick enough, they're rewarded with a pastry.
Totally. Then just say, "Thank you, sir. Carry on."
Up here, whenever I do the shows, I like to go to T-Ho's and buy. We did it the first time we did it was it my second episode of Flash? I can't remember, but maybe it was the first episode of Flash. Malcolm, my friend Malcolm, my Canadian friend Malcolm's from the other side. He's from Toronto. He'll be out sooner or later and stuff. He's making a documentary about me right now. That's what Malcolm normally does. He makes documentaries about gay-themed subject matter. Now he's got the gayest theme of all, me. So Malcolm was, fuck, what story was I gonna tell? I just hit a speed, donuts, thank you. Speed, pothole. Malcolm, one day I was like, hey man, like we should bring some shit in to eat. It was for the production meeting was about to happen. The production meeting is where you sit around with all the heads of the departments and stuff. You literally go through everything in the fucking script and stuff. And it's kind of boring. It's very clinical. And it's a necessary process. But part of the process, everybody knows they're on the same page. Everybody has their shit covered and whatnot. But, you know, it's fucking kind of a snooze. So I was like, fuck, you know what would make it better? Donuts. Let's bring some fucking Timbits, man. They're like munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts and shit. So I
speak
said,
donut.
You speak donut.
I speak donut.
So I said to Malcolm, I was like, let's get some fucking Timbits and stuff. He goes, yeah, let's get some fucking treats. That'll win everyone over. And so I said, well, how many Timbits do we get? And he goes, how many people in the fucking meeting? And I was like, I don't know, seems like about 20 or something like that. And he goes, well, you get fucking 2 50s. And I was like, what do you mean, 50? He goes, I got a box of 50. You get 2 of those, it's 100. And I was like, what if we got 1,000? And he goes, I don't even know if that's possible. And I was like, well, call up Timmy Hortons and see if it's possible and stuff. So I was on the witnessing end of the phone call. I saw him calling it up. Malcolm is so boisterous and so like fucking definitive and loudmouth about shit. Like he's so like, he's dialing going, we're gonna fucking get these Timmys, man. They're gonna make us a fucking 1,000 because that's what we deserve. Fucking fuck these assholes. Yeah, hi. I just wanted to. He goes into nice sell mode. He's like, I was wondering if it's possible to get 1,000 Timbits. And it's quiet and he's like, uh-huh. Yeah. Cash. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Buy. And he goes, you can buy anything in this world. I was like, 1,000 Timbits? He's like, we're getting 1,000 Timbits. And I was like, how much was it? And it was fucking criminally low, dude. It was under, I can't remember what the figure was, but it was under $200. And I was like, 1,000 Timbits for under $200? Why haven't we done this every day? Like, you could fucking get fat eating Timbits, and we did. And then you'd have so many left over, you could just have an office fucking Timbit fight, man. So we got 1,000 Timbits. Like, what does it look like? And you go, and it looks like a fucking 1,000 Timbits. It's essentially 20 of those box of 50s. So as much as we were curious, what's 1,000 Timbits gonna look like? The people making the Timbits were so curious what we looked like. Who the fuck? And then when me and Malcolm, both of us big as houses, walked in, they're like, that fucking figures. So we said, this is for Flash. And they're like, oh, whatever, you know. And so we brought them to the production and shit. And they were like flabbergasted, like, what's this? And I was like, this is 1,000 Timbits. And so we got a bunch of bowls and shit and arranged it to put it out there. And everyone took pictures because nobody had ever seen 1,000 Timbits together at once.
You could have charged admission. It's like, come look at the Timbits. For $10, you can eat one.
I kept telling him how impressed I was that it was under 200. I was like, can you believe this is only under $200? And some people looked at me like, you've lost all value of money. But that seemed cheap. 1,000 of something for under $200? Like, what does that work out to be? $2 a Timbit? No, that'd be
Not
wrong.
even.
I'd be way overcharged. 20 cents a Timbit?
20 cents. I guess.
20
Math.
fucking cents, man. Like, for 20 cents a day, you could whip a Timbit at a friend.
Did you, when you were all done, because I'm sure you didn't eat all those Timbits, did you make like a Devil's Tower out of Timbits?
No, we brought it to set. And so we brought it to the rest of the production. We were like, we brought you Timbits to the actors. And we didn't. We brought them for production upstairs and shit. But the actors, you know, actors are like, normal person walks into a room, sees a fucking bowl full of apples. Normal people says, oh, somebody has left a bowl full of apples on the table. That's nice. Actor or actress walks into a room, sees a bowl full of apples, says, oh, somebody left apples for me. And fucking takes them. So that was what we did with the Timbits. Put them out there, and they're like, this is for us? It was like, they sure are. And they fucking scapped them all up. Couldn't eat them all, man. Like, we were giving Timbits away at the end of the day. Like, take these home to your kids. And people were like, fuck no. But it was pretty amazing to see. I'm a donut fan myself.
Who isn't?
I don't know if I'll be doing it this time, though, as a vegan. It goes against, you know, all my principles.
Well,
Now I'll be bringing treats like, who wants snap peas? They're like, oh, Fun Kev's gone. Used to be all donuts and bagels. Now it's fucking this shit.
Well, at least that's better than bringing them like vegan donuts. Because nobody wants a vegan donut.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like an insult to donuts.
Yeah.
Remember how we used to be delicious? Fuck that.
But no animal was harmed in the process.
No, just humans.
You ready to do a show?
We can do a show.
Fuck, let's do a show. This show, ladies and gentlemen, is comprised of two very important parts, man. The first part of it is Mr. Marc Bernardin, who has been an editor for such legendary outlets as The Hollywood Reporter, Entertainment Weekly, The Los Angeles Times. He is a newsman by trade, who is now a screenwriter by trade as well. But he spent so much time in the news, we send Marc to go fucking bust open the news, and Marc busts open Google and then found out a bunch of shit for us to talk about. So give it up for Marc. He dug up some news.
I still have my Stetson hat with the press thing in it.
And
Roving
one of these
reporter.
things,
Totally.
like a Walter Winchell.
So, hey, I did not think in my entire life I would have a week where we were discussing Batman's dick nearly as much as we've been discussing Batman's dick this week.
My brother, of all people, fucking texted me the other morning to say something of the sort. He was, my brother texts me about a number of fucking things, of course, but never about this sort of thing. Let me find it real quick. Donald wrote, did not think I'd wake up to see the Cape Crusaders' Dick Grayson, LOL. And my brother is gay as the day is long. He's been married to his husband, Jerry, for, as old as Clerks was, the same year of Clerks. So 25 years, man, and shit. So this was, Batman. I could talk about Batman, till I'm blue in the face and his eyes glaze over. He's very patient. He'll just listen and shit. But Batman's dick on the table? My brother's like, tell me about Batman. So he said, I didn't think I'd wake up to see the Cape Crusaders' Dick Grayson, LOL. And I wrote, Batpole, cowled monster, cut crusader, his super friend, the night's dork. The whole internet went crazy coming up with Batawang was pretty good.
Ooh, I like that one.
Bruce's Wang is pretty good. You have a favorite?
No, I'm...
Bat Dick says it all.
Bat Dick really does. I was just more curious about the conversation of whether he was Jewish or not.
Why? Is that a deeper conversation?
Well, because is he circumcised or not? Right?
You said that with a lot of confidence, man. You're like, fuck yeah, it's been in my mouth. At least he said he was Batman.
His name was Bruce. But
his name was Bruce.
But a bunch of motherfuckers are out there with like jeweler's loops examining the fucking panel. They'd be like, I think is that cut? I don't know. Well, maybe the Joker strapped him down and did some awful shit to him with a magic circumcising machine.
People are fucking writing fan fiction about how Batman got cut late in life?
Yep.
Whoa.
Like batarang accident, grappling hook malfunction.
I've seen the picture. It was more of a shadowy outline.
Yeah.
Like the ladies indicates, it was very disappointing. I was looking to see thick veins and shit like that. Maybe a tattoo, Martha, down the side.
Usually it's just Ma, and then you get the full Martha later.
I don't know. I saw that picture, man. You could fit Thomas and Martha on that fucking. They weren't shy about giving him a big fat dick. In reality though, don't you think it'd be the reverse? The guy that's like, I'm gonna jump off buildings, beat the shit out of strangers, must have the smallest dick in the room, right? But instead, they were like, look at a hog on him. Of course it's huge. It's Batman, God damn it.
Why don't you ever shower with everybody else here and they're super friends? Well, for reasons. I'm private. I'm the knight.
You'll see my bat ham.
Where's the trigger?
Yeah, man. First off, let's have a brief discussion. Was that even necessary?
I don't think so. Because really, the world was not asking to know what Batman's dick looks like.
I just think the line moves an awful lot. A few years ago, I did a Batman story where Batman talked about wetting himself. And not on purpose, and it sounds more juvenile than it is. It was built into a retcon a little bit of the moment in Batman Year One where he lights off the grenade, blows out the wall, and says to like Gotham's elite, "Good evening. You've eaten, ladies and gentlemen of Gotham, you've eaten well, but tonight that ends," and blah blah blah. It's a real great fucking moment in Batman Year One. So he's telling one of the characters in the story I did that story, and so we kind of mimic that same fucking gorgeous Dave Mazzucchelli panel and stuff. And he talks about the thermals went off and boom, the wall explodes. He's like, what I was not prepared for was the intense blast of heat. The wave of heat that I'd be struck with. And this is fucking scientifically true. A friend of mine, Brian Quinn from fucking Impractical Jokers, before he was a TV star, he was a fireman. Brian Quinn told me, like, sometimes when you rush into a building, bam, you open a door and poof, you're hit with the backdraft, not so much the flames, but the intense fucking heat that comes off. You're fucking let go. You can't help it. It's not like you wet yourself. You just involuntarily fucking, poof, it just hits your bladder. Same way you go in a shower and it's hot and you're like, and you start taking a leak. Imagine, that's not you?
I should know not to shower at your house anymore.
Yeah, you would stop at the toilet and then fucking use the shower separately? It's all a drain. I'm not saying shit in the shower, even I've got rules, but take a fucking leak.
That's a line to cross.
So it's like that, he said, but really intensified. So I was like, oh, that's good to know. So I wrote it into the scene. In the scene, Batman's trying to like relate to this fucking person, and Batman's like not able to relate to most people. So his inner conscious is like, just fucking share, tell him. He tells him that story and stuff. So in the, after the comic came out, I took a beating on the internet and still have. Periodically, there's a Twitter account that does like factoids or whatever the fuck. And the fact will come up, Batman once wet himself in this miniseries. And then people tweet it to me and go, thanks, asshole. So I'm the guy that made Batman wet himself, supposedly. And fucking the guy that showed Batman schlong, he should be in way worse trouble than me. Mine's based on fucking science. His is based on a dream.
Well, and biology. Batman's got a dick.
Will that help sales of the book?
I think it has, especially...
Certainly created attention for it.
Created attention. And in reprints, they're going to erase Batman's dick. So...
Is that right?
Yeah. They're going back, and subsequent print runs will no longer have Batman's dick's first appearance.
So it'll be cut from there forward. Circumcising the appearance, if you will. Why? So they were all ballsy until the world was like...
Yeah.
And it never stops. And then all of a sudden, once people go, hey, what do you think was the argument that made them go, all right, fuck it, we'll erase it in the future?
I'm sure public pressure. Just, why did we have to have this? And I'm sure parents got involved. I'm sure kids got involved. I'm sure Warner Brothers got involved and says, hey, so, Batman is like $1 billion franchise for us. Maybe don't show people his dick because that's not going to help us sell fucking underwear, ironically, to children. Yeah.
So that means this won't be a growing trend of fucking superheroes with their dicks swinging and shit. They're like, in the next issue of Wonder Woman.
Well, remember Marvel used to do swimsuit issues? Remember that? Back in like the
where they
the
put
mid-90s?
She-Hulk on the cover and shit?
Yeah, but there were these like, hey, so there's fucking Logan, just a ball of puff of hair, and then like a thong. And just like, why did I need to see cables? I don't want that.
It's true. Made you go snicked. All right, fair enough, man. So, Bat Dick, we're done with it, or will it ever come back to haunt us?
Will it ever rise again?
Bat Dick returns.
Yeah. The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think this was a bold experiment in testicular presentation.
Would you say that it was successful? It wasn't big enough. Yeah, it seemed like a gimmick that...
did not gimmick the way they wanted it to.
But it got him a lot of attention, man. And like late night talk shows were talking about it. Seth Meyers did bits.
I mean, if the like no press is bad press maxim holds true, then yes, it was a win. But I still didn't really want to be talking about Batman's dick today, and here we are.
You sound like my brother.
Yeah. Speaking of Batman, did you see the Joaquin Phoenix test footage from the Joker?
Has everyone seen the image of Joaquin?
I mean, this crowd, clearly.
Apparently, they're shooting. Where are they shooting that picture?
In the Bronx right now.
They're shooting in New York?
Yeah.
Interesting. So they're shooting out definitely in the real world, wherever it is, apparently the Bronx. And when you do that, that's that. Because everyone's got a phone in their camera in their hands at all given times and whatnot. So even a non-professional person walking past, like, oh shit, there's a camera. Oh shit, there's a clown. Oh shit, it's the Joker. Bam, you're going to have it spoiled like crazy. So in an effort to combat it, or since images are getting out there, Todd Phillips, the director of the movie, has stated, like, look, they're putting out, all the paparazzi are putting out bad pictures. At least I'm going to put out good pictures. Like, if the image is going to be out there, let me share good versions of this. So because of that, we're seeing an unprecedented amount of material in this movie while they're in the earliest stages of production, including the look of the Joker, something that nobody ever really saw, bless you, on Dark Knight until very close to the first trailer. Like, there was no very early image of Heath Ledger out there in the world. So it's crazy, but at the same time, it does fuel interest. What do you think about the direction they've taken with it so far? It looks like you can't say for sure we've seen the be-all, end-all version of the character because they keep doing iterations of him in clown makeup.
I am still not certain that this movie needs to exist.
Really? It's starting to look kind of dope.
But like, the more I see, the more curious I am.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's like Batman's dick. You just want to know more. How long's this been going on?
Let's shed a light on this particular shadowy figure. But yeah, like I mean, we talked about it on the podcast before. I've put it on Twitter. Like, the Joker's not a thing that I need an origin story for. You know, like, without Batman, I don't understand what the Joker does. I don't understand what his purpose is. They're the twin poles of the same particular universe. And without one, you don't get the other. So why are we only going to get one and not the other? That said, looking at Joaquin Phoenix in that makeup, which seems to be like both a nod to Heath Ledger and a nod to Cesar Romero, and a little bit of a nod to the masks from The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
like it's unifying a lot of things, and I think that there's a world in which the Joker is our generation's Hamlet, in that every great actor wants to take a swing at it. You know, and like, what's my version of this thing? We're going to say pretty much the same lines and do the same stuff, but how do I make this a unique creation compared to everything that had come before? And everything that came before was brilliant, you know.
Well,
and there's that one.
Yeah. But it's true. It seems like the role where people are like, oh, man, I could fucking make mincemeat of this. I get to go crazy and stuff. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, look, he's a great actor. I'll watch him do anything. Seeing him take on this role, I've been curious from the jump, but I'm also of the belief that you could make a bunch of these. They can make 6 Joker movies. I'll see all of them. Half of them will probably be really good. So, you know, they're not planning that, but they were talking about making this one and the Jared Leto one. It feels like the Jared Leto one quietly goes away based on this one. Jared Leto's agent, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's good. It looks interesting, and I will take interesting. Where I don't think Suicide Squad for me looked interesting. It looked messy.
Right.
In other Batman news,
Okay.
Birds of Prey is a movie they're legit gonna fucking make. They have a release date now, February 7th, 2020.
Wow.
They're starting to cast the other actors, and there's a bit of a roundup.
Are they calling it Birds of Prey?
They're calling it Birds of Prey.
And the idea is this is the Ladies of Gotham movie.
Right. So it's What's-Her-Face is coming back. Margot Robbie's coming back as Harley Quinn. They're looking to cast the role of the Huntress, and the candidates are Sophia Boutella from The Mummy. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Let's see. USS Callister's Kristen Milioti.
The girl who played the lead in that episode of The Black Mirror?
Yeah.
What else was she in? I saw her in something
She was in How I Met Your Mother for a little bit.
There it is.
And Margaret Qualley, who was in The Leftovers, and she's now in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino joint. So they're all up for the Huntress. For Renee Montoya, they're looking at One Day at a Time.
Which Huntress do you think they're going to do?
Ooh, I don't know.
Helena Bertinelli? No connection to Bruce Wayne and shit. You know, the character originally started as she's the daughter of Batman and Catwoman on Earth 3 or some such shit.
Probably not that one.
No, they're not doing that.
Yeah, that's a guess. Renee Montoya is going to be in it. They're looking at One Day at a Time's Justina Machado and an actress named Roberta Colindres from Vida. She's a lesbian detective on Gotham City's police force, according to the press release. For Black Canary, they're looking at Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who is, like, she's fucking stunning. She was in Belle. She was in Under the Lights. She was in Doctor Who for a stretch. And another actress called Journey Smollett Bell from Underground. So Black Canary is going to be a black lady.
Oh, I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah. So,
it's a little on the nose, but good.
Yeah, well.
Progress.
Well done. Every other black character gets a black person.
You can play the black character. Right on, man.
Yeah.
So that movie's going to happen.
That movie's going to happen.
Who's in charge, they say?
Directed him Kathy Yan, who I don't know what she did before. But, yeah, she's the third female filmmaker in the DC fold. Behind Patty Jenkins and Ava DuVernay, who's doing New Gods.
Who's doing New Gods.
Yeah.
And so this seems like it's closer to going than New Gods, though, right?
I think so. New Gods seems to be, like, Ava is currently in New York shooting the Central Park 5 miniseries for Netflix. She doesn't seem to be actively in New Gods world, but who the fuck knows? I don't.
I look forward to this movie in a big, bad way, man. You could do cool things with this. And they're doing it in the shadow of the bad as well, so you don't have to include that character necessarily as a main character, but he should make an appearance. And if he is making an appearance, which Batman would it be?
John Hamm.
Oh, yes. God damn it. You just made my dick hard. If it was John Hamm, they were like, look, we're going to do a standalone, man, just like Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker in their movie. We're going to pick our own Batman, and it's John Hamm. Holy shit. I would pay twice.
But are they going to make him show John's ham?
Truly. His Don
buddy.
Draper. Yeah, man, they got to include Batman in some way. It'd be weird to have everything happening in Gotham. Like, oh, he's on vacation this week. But I look forward as fuck to that movie, man. Can't believe. I remember I had a Ladies of Gotham print from the Warner Brothers store years ago that hung on my wall that had most of those characters. And it's like, it's nuts to think that in the mainstream, like, my mom is going to know, oh, there's a movie with Harley Quinn in it. Well, she'll know that because her granddaughter and shit. But she'll be like, oh, my God, there's a movie with the Huntress in it. Who is the Huntress, Tiger? And then I'll tell her. I'll sit her down and be like, oh, Ma, well, on Earth 3, it was Batman and Catwoman's daughter. But they're probably not going to do that. I'm ready for that. I think DC needs to make more movies, more and more and more movies.
Yes.
We talked about them making more Superman last week. That just wound up in the press cycle, too. This show is interesting as fuck, man. Like, whenever we do an episode, when the episode drops, there's always a series of news articles that spin out of it. And sometimes it's not even news. Like, I saw people going like, one headline was like, Kevin Smith thinks Thanos is a hero. And, you know, that really wasn't the case and stuff. I just put him on my team just to beat Mark and shit. But they could really spin a lot of news stories out of this, which is funny because we just read other people's news.
Yeah, it's like fourth generation news. Where it's barely news anymore. We made half of this shit up, but now apparently it's press.
It counts.
So there was a every like quarter or so they do investor calls at places like Disney where, let's say you're an investor in Disney and you want to know what the fuck Disney's doing. So the head of Disney, a guy named Bob Iger, will get on the phone and just tell investors throughout the country and the world what they're up to. And he was asked, is Kevin Feige going to be overseeing the X-Men universe? And his quote was, I think it only makes sense. I want to be careful here because of what's been communicated to the Fox folks, but I think they know. It only makes sense for Marvel to be supervised by one entity. There shouldn't be two Marvels.
That's good news.
So, bam.
Well, number one, it means that, like, you know, the things we've been hoping for are going to come to pass. Kevin Feige and the Marvel Universe going to get to play with those toys sooner rather than later. Some person suggested on Twitter today, maybe, you know, they've talked about, like, Infinity War is going for reshoots, and people are like, reshoots? Why? Some people on Twitter were like, maybe they're adding X characters or Fantastic Four, and I was like, could you imagine? Oh my God! But I'm already like, they don't even have to do it. I guess on one level, you could be like, how do we top killing half the Marvel universe by bringing them back and bringing in like fucking look at the X-Men, even though you've seen them 1,000 times. This is our X-Men now, the better X-Men.
Well, I mean, we'd always talked about the reversing the fucking snap as some kind of like backing up time or reinstituting whatever, but it could also be a parallel universe where we're importing old versions or different versions of those characters we already love, right? They're being yanked from their time and put into sort of Earth prime time.
Yes.
And if there's a parallel Earth in the Marvel universe, that parallel universe could be the Fox universe. And so along with the parallel universe Black Panther and the parallel universe whatever, those characters could also get stuck in the fucking drift. And suddenly there's Fantastic Four, suddenly Reed Richards.
Keep talking, motherfucker.
Ooh, green money!
I love all this chatter. Give me that back.
Fuck that, man! Throw a motherfucker some money and keep that shit. But yeah, like you could, if you wanted to do that, you could do that. You could, if that's going to be one of the routes, you could fucking pull it off. I don't think that that's part of the reshoots, only because, not to say we would have known,
right?
But secrets are incredibly hard to keep anymore. And if there's
although they keep fucking secrets great, like you know they keep secrets from the fucking cast. When I interviewed Vision and the Scarlet Witch, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, I was at a con in Seattle and I interviewed them on stage. They talked about they didn't find out the scene where fucking spoilers, Vision, you know, dies and shit. They didn't find out. Yeah, sorry. They didn't find out until the day they were shooting that scene. So they were pulled in. She said they pulled them into a van, like a panelless, windowless van. And
down
shit.
by the river?
Oh my God. They were like, kids, here's some candy. Get in the van. Pulled them into the van, shut the doors, and told them, like, this is what's going to happen. And so they had, like, about an hour to process it and figure out their performance, and boom, they went at it and stuff. So they keep shit quiet from even the people in the movies and stuff.
They do. But, like, if you're going to recast the X-Men, which I'd have to think they're gonna, because why honor all those old deals? Why bring the baggage of those characters and those iterations?
Even Hugh Jackman? Do you say goodbye to Hugh Jackman? Because Hugh Jackman has said, like, you know, if they could ever cross over the X-Men and the Avengers, I will be back. Like, he said he would do it in a heartbeat. But since you're kickstarting a brand new, like, iteration of the Marvel Universe that does include the X characters, including Wolverine, do you want a younger Wolverine?
I think you want a younger Wolverine.
It's gonna be an interesting kind of impasse for Disney. Yeah, well, they did Old Man Logan. But it's going to be interesting to see if they'll, like, because the fan base is going to want to see Hugh Jackman. He's still alive. He's expressed interest.
He's still alive. He hasn't blown out his heart by jacking himself up that much.
He's in the best shape of his life. He's at the height of his fucking theatrical, cinematic box office powers, right? He's coming off of that movie,
Greatest
Showman and stuff. So, which made a lot of money. I mean, you don't have to like it, but it fucking, like, that was a movie that everyone in the business was like, this movie's gonna fucking tank. It ain't gonna make jack shit. And it made a fuck ton of money and made him look really smart. Had a few great songs.
There is a ton of fucking residual love for Hugh Jackman, for sure. And I love him as Logan.
How do you get over that, though? How do you...
In the same reason that I don't want to see Harrison Ford ever fucking do Indiana Jones again. I just don't. Like, if I'm gonna live with another cycle of these movies, if we're gonna have Indiana Jones for the next 50 years, you have to replace that guy.
Right.
If they're gonna make the X-Men part of the Marvel Universe, you cannot have a 50-year-old dude as your Wolverine. You just can't.
Do you think they should do the old Fox at all, or just be like, we're just starting our own continuity? We're not like we fucking don't acknowledge that shit, but technically they're like, that's not part of our story.
I mean, they don't acknowledge Eric Bana at all.
You're right.
Like, remember those fucking irradiated dogs? No. What irradiated dogs? Next.
Yeah, holy shit, man. All those Fox people are Fox. They're like, we're going to make a Marvel movie. Kevin Feige's like, no, you're not.
Nah, bitch. Take care.
Don't they have an X-Men movie coming, though? It's Dark Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to release that?
They are going to release it. And then we will never see those people again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, I'm of two minds. Of course, I love Hugh Jackman, and the idea of seeing him play with, like, Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Robert Downey Jr.'s fucking Iron Man is enticing as hell. I guess we should see, like, Kevin Feige hasn't let us down yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not made a fucking wrong call in that universe yet. So at that point, if they decide, like, look, we're just going to bring you all new X-Men. Oh, fuck, I forgot about Deadpool. In Vancouver, I forgot about Deadpool. What do you do? That's right. Fucking, you can't, like, leave that guy behind. Like, particularly that iteration is working insanely well.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Kevin Feige's here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he could break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
No,
true.
I think you keep that dude.
Yeah.
Because I think that A, he's behind a mask for most of it, but B, it's so indelible to that. Aside from Logan, really none of those other characters are as indelible in those roles. I mean, I love Fassbender, I fucking love McAvoy, but it's still not Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, and you still replace those guys.
That's true, and we did get used to it.
Yeah, so
We're going to get another one. We're going to get a whole all new X-Men.
all
probably.
new ones. All new, all different.
That's exciting on some level. Look, it's exciting to see them play in that universe. So far, they've done fucking great. That's exciting. And that's not even including Fantastic Four. All right, what else we got?
Let's see. Hey, you like the Game of Thrones, right?
Fuck yeah. I'm just living to Game of Thrones. That's it, man. I survived the heart attack so I can get to fucking Game of Thrones. I gotta know what happens.
Two things on Game of Thrones front.
Yeah.
One, I saw Dan Weiss and I saw Benioff and Weiss in my office.
Because Mark works at a show called Treadstone.
I work on a show called Treadstone, which happens to share the same offices with one of the dozen places that Game of Thrones is doing their post work. So every now and again, we will just hear like dragons roaring somewhere in the office, and we're like, but I saw the two showrunners, Benioff and Weiss, in the men's room the other day.
Did you?
They went together.
Well, they work well together.
They
so
really do.
They guess they keep it going. Did they have bat dick or what?
Yeah, they just hold each other's dicks for them.
They just stand in front of the urinal and like Dracarys.
So in the ongoing saga,
Talk to him at all?
no, I would say, hey, nice dragons. Good to see you're not unsullied.
It's good.
So that happened, but in Ireland, they are now going to do for the Game of Thrones sets what they did in New Zealand for the Lord of the Rings sets, which is now it's a fucking tourist attraction. You can now go, or at least in 2019, you can go and visit King's Landing. You can go and visit the Watchers on the Wall. You can go and visit Castle Black. You can go and visit Winterfell.
How?
They're going to keep all of the shit that they built up and running. It's now going to be like a fucking walk-through museum.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So if you want to go to fucking Ireland and pretend that you're taking the black, you totally can. I'm going to do it. Black taking the black. I want a T-shirt.
Why are you happy about giving up sex?
Well, it's just for the fucking picture, man, and I'm going to leave.
Right.
But yeah, they are super excited about having a tourist attraction that's not Guinness to make people come to Ireland. And it's beautiful. I know.
We used to have beer. Now we have this.
But yeah, so that's happening starting in 2019.
Fucking A. I won't go to that. I've seen the show. I'm good. And I know what sets look like. They're fucking fake.
They are.
Yeah, it's all lies and bullshit. Unless they were like, come take the tour, we'll show you a real fucking dragon. Then they got my fucking money, man.
You don't know unless you go.
It's true.
Were you a kid who watched, well, knowing your love of sports, were you a Space Jam fan?
I am a big Looney Tunes fan.
Why are you Space Jam fans?
I was a big Looney Tunes guy, so I did take the journey with them to Space Jam. I remember when they first started teaming them up with athletes. Chuck Jones had done a series of collector cards Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes characters, baseball, and then slowly like they did those commercials like with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan, and then suddenly the Bugs Bunny and sports brands were intertwined and shit, and that have resulted in Space Jam, which I did pay to see in a movie theater, and enjoyed. I was just happy to see the fucking. I like those characters a lot, and I like the fact that they tried again, but it's some shit doesn't fucking translate very well, and so I figure I'd never see another Space Jam in my lifetime. We saw the one and only Space Jam.
That's what you think, my friend. They're making another Space Jam.
They are making.
They really are making. LeBron James is going to be the star of said Space Jam 2.
Okay.
Ryan Coogler is producing Space Jams 2.
You have my attention. Really?
Really? Ryan, this first thing after Black Panther is like, I'm going to do a basketball movie with animated creatures. Because everybody loves all of these things.
That is a crazy kind of like, I'm so successful. Black Panther was so fucking successful. Let me do the thing that nobody would ever fucking let me do in a rational world. They're like, what do you want to do? We'll let you do anything. He's like, Space Jam 2. And they're like, ooh, this one's going to hurt, but here's all the money. I didn't see, he was in Trainwreck, right? LeBron James.
He was, and really good.
Yeah,
and
everyone
really good.
said. Isn't he a voice in Smallfoot or Bigfoot or whatever the fuck that's called?
Maybe.
No?
I don't know.
I saw a large voice cast on that, the Bigfoot cartoon movie that's coming out.
Smallfoot.
He is the star of the show?
Smallfoot.
Smallfoot, is that what it's called? Very...
Not if it's LeBron James's foot. Motherfucker is huge.
Wait, the premise of this movie, I saw the fucking trailer. Smallfoot is a human being. Like the way we think of them as like the Bigfoots. They think of us as like the Smallfoots, and they find a fucking Smallfoot. Now you don't have to see the movie.
It's like Tarzan, but with humans.
It's really a pun more than anything else. Like, hey man, what do you think the Bigfoots call us? Smallfoot? Go make that movie.
Here's $100 million. But yeah, so Coogler's gonna produce it. A guy named Terrence Nance is directing, who created HBO's Random Acts of Flyness.
Oh, okay.
Which is a super fucking interesting show.
You've watched it?
I've seen 2 episodes of it.
What is it about?
It's like Black Mirror.
It's an anthology show?
It's sort of anthological, but even in any given episode, the episodes are like 45 minutes long. There's 8 or 9 different stories. There's a bunch of fucking vignettes, but it's all kind of about the future and the African American experience. And half of it's animated, and some of it's weirdly CG, and some of it makes no sense, and makes all the sense. It is just this weird kind of fever dream of a TV show.
Wow.
It's interesting. I don't know if I like it. I like that it exists,
right?
Because it's fucking weird as shit, and we don't get enough weird as shit on TV. So yeah, I'll take some weird as shit. But why you get that dude to be like, we want you to do weird as shit guy, Space Jam 2. We got that guy who just made $2 billion and weird as shit dude and LeBron James. Mint me some fucking money.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna make some money there. I'm just happy to see the Bugs Bunny characters coming back out of hiding.
There was a great Onion tweet that was like, Kevin Hart shows up on Space Jam assuming he's been cast as a voice. Where my voice at? I got to do a thing in here. That's my Kevin Hart, everybody.
That's not bad.
Not bad?
Pretty good.
So yeah, we get one of those. Kingsman 3 got a release date. They're making a Kingsman 3 for real.
I gotta tell you, man, I enjoyed those both Kingsman movies. I mean, naturally, the first one was surprising and out of the blue, so it was an absolute delight. And it was just so fucked up. Like, you're watching the movie, and all of a sudden, she's like, if you save us, I'll give you anal. I'm like, did I write this? And then the second one was also like like totally fun and watchable. Although the Western guys weren't in it as much as you thought they were going to be based on the trailer.
Right.
But I enjoyed both of those. Matthew Vaughn did both of them.
He did both.
Is he going to do this third one?
He's coming back for the third one.
I think he's fucking talented, man. He makes really good movies. I've talked about before. Like at one point, I was in England when they made Kick-Ass, and they shot it over there. They shot it in England, and so we shared an agent. And my agent was like, "Hey man, you know Matthew Vaughn?" I was like, "Not personally, but I know he makes movies. He was a producer, now he's a director." He's like, "He made a comic book movie." I was like, "What one?" He goes, "Kick-Ass." I was like, "Oh shit, he made the Kick-Ass movie?" I said, "Yeah, he's having a screening. Would you go to it tonight?" I said, "I would love to." And he goes, "I want you to go to it, and I want you to like find cuts for him and tell him what to cut out of the movie." And I was like, "Oh, all right, fair enough." So I went to the movie, and then after the movie, ended, and it was a little bit longer than the one that everyone else saw and stuff. Lights come up and shit, and there's Matthew Vaughn, and he's talking to everybody. Everybody, like, there was only about 25 people in the screening or something, small screening room. And then, I'm waiting until everyone's gone. Then I was like, "Hey, man, I'm Kevin Smith." And he was like, "Hey." And I was like, "So Phil told me, like, to tell you the stuff to cut, so let's, this is what I saw. I think it's a great movie, man, like, really fun. Like, fucking that shit with Hit Girl is insane. But in the beginning, like, there's some kind of," and I start going into my cuts, and the guy looking at me like, "Fuck off." And I was like, "Good to know." And so I shook his hand and fucking left and stuff. And I called up Phil and I was like, "You embarrassed the shit out of me, man." So I like him as a director. I think he's really fucking good. Those Kingsman movies have been fun to watch. He's going to do a third.
He's going to do the third one. It'll be out on November 9th, 2019, which was when Bond 25 was going to open.
Oh, and they moved. So
and they
took
moved.
that date.
He took that date because it's
cheeky.
It's a little cheeky.
Yeah.
It will be, according to Vaughn, the conclusion of the Harry Hart Eggsy relationship.
We thought that had concluded in the first one, but then the movie did well, and
Like,
they were like,
"Oh, no.
let's bring him back and give Colin Firth more money."
He's not dead. Nobody's dead.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing the second one, and it was on the heels, I think, like a month or two after Prince died. And so,
Yes.
and Kingsman 2 was the first movie that's not a Prince movie to have a Prince song in it. And I remember sitting there, and the entire opening fucking car chase is set to Let's Go Crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this so fucking amazing? Oh shit, it's Prince.
Yeah. That never would have happened back in the day.
No, he never allowed that stuff to happen.
And his music wound up on Spotify. It hadn't been there as well.
And a bunch of it ended up on YouTube, and they pulled almost everything off of YouTube. Like, you could never see.
It's true. He would actively.
Oh yeah, he would go in and just start pinging shit, and so you could never see legally his Super Bowl halftime show.
No, that's
which,
right.
if you've never seen, is phenomenal.
Him playing Purple Rain in the Rain.
And fucking like covering Foo Fighters,
Yeah.
just because he wanted to, and didn't tell the Foo Fighters. And so the story is the Foo Fighters were like watching the fucking game, and someone is like, "Dave, I think Prince is doing one of our songs." Like, fucking Prince is not covering our song. Like, click. Oh shit. He's doing better than we did it. Oh, should we pay him?
Fair enough, man. All right, where to next?
Last story is
Last story of the night.
Last story of the night. It's a little bit of a sad one. Gary Kurtz, who produced, among other things, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, American Graffiti, and The Dark Crystal,
Wow.
passed away last week after fighting cancer for about a year.
How old was he?
He was 78 years old.
The facilitator of our childhood. It's George Lucas, of course, is credited with the imagination and whatnot, but like somebody has to make that shit happen. It's easy to write, fucking the droids land on Tatooine. It's somebody's actual job to figure out what the fuck is a Tatooine? How do we do this? And he was the guy.
Yeah, he was the executor of that vision. He's the one who, like, George invented it, George wrote it, George cast it. He summoned it into being so George could shoot it.
It's true. The director, the writer, these are the sexy roles that are fetishized. They're easy to identify and understand for people outside of the industry, right? Like, because they've been told over and over again what that job is. And I would still argue that qualifying the job of director is really difficult, and not because it's a difficult job, it's just so weird. If you stand outside of a movie set or a TV set and you watch it operate, you can pretty much qualify everybody's job. You're like, that person's holding a pole with a microphone on it, they must be recording sound. This person has a camera, she must be the DP. This person is doing this. Everybody's job is easily quantifiable. These people are standing in front of the cameras and pretending to love each other or hate each other. They must be the performers and stuff. But if you were to sit outside and look at the director, you'd be like, there's a guy sitting down watching television. Everyone else is working. He don't do shit. What's that all about? And then a take ends, and you see him go over and like whisper some shit to people, and then walk away, and they just do it again and stuff. It's a really weird job to kind of fucking qualify. So this job, though, on the other hand, what were we just talking
Producer.
about? Producer. Thank you. That job is fucking really hard to fucking communicate in a big bad way. It's always been tough to figure out like what a producer is, especially because there's so many different kinds. There are some that are just big name producers that fucking attach talent and shit like that. But you know, if you were like, make this movie, you gave them a script, you know, with a gun to their head, you'd fucking fire the gun because they wouldn't know how to fucking do it. Then there are producers who you probably wouldn't kill them. That's just an example.
Then maybe he's an asshole.
Yeah, untrue. The producers that are nuts and bolts that actually make the shit happen, build it from the ground up and whatnot. Scott Mosier was that person for me in the beginning of my career. The guy who I'd be like, I want to do this. And he'd be like, all right, let's figure out how to fucking do that. This guy was that for George Lucas. And, you know, the person that producer doesn't get a fuck ton of credit, and usually it's an easy role to joke about and stuff, but a really wonderful producer, a nuts and bolt, like a kind of line producer type producer, you can hand that person, man or woman, a script, and they could fucking bring it to life for you. So as much as people like go like, oh, that director, they make the movies that I like and shit like that, the director is like, you know who I like? The person that facilitated that. Because if I was left to my own devices, it would just be a script sitting on a desk. Somebody smarter and more talented than me is the person to figure out, okay, we're going to need this, and I'll find money sometimes. So this was a guy who, you know, that name is writ large in my childhood. Star Wars was where I first started paying attention to the credits of something. I was 7 years old, and the movie meant so much to me. You just wanted to know what the fuck was going on and who was involved. So all of those names are rock star names of my childhood, like David Prowse and shit like that. But Gary Kurtz was always one of those names. His name was on some of the movies that shaped who I became, that I watched over and over and over again, and would even watch the credits at the end, even though it wasn't a Marvel movie and there was no fucking action happening and shit. You just watched out of a sense of like, I love this. So it was a name I grew up with. And yet, oddly enough, like not one I've ever, like I never sought him out or anything like that, but he was just part of the fabric of my childhood. It's weird to hear that he's gone.
Yeah, the thing that I found interesting in this obit that I pulled off of Deadline is that he assembled a second unit crew for George Lucas on Star Wars, and he himself directed most of the cockpit dogfighting scenes. So all of the actors during the fucking trench run, he directed those guys. So
he directed Stay on Target.
He directed
Stay on Target.
I can't shake him. He's coming from behind. Ah! You're all clear, kid. Let's blow this thing and go home.
He wrote the most pornographic line in Star Wars. So yeah, and George is very famous for like he's not the actor's director. He was more about
faster, more intense.
Yeah,
is the two things George would tell people. And so my favorite moment in all of Star Wars, the "You're all clear, kid. Let's blow this thing and go home," was him.
Wow.
So thanks, Gary Kurtz.
Yeah, that's true, man. Give it up for Gary Kurtz. The magician behind the magician. He'll be missed. All right, man. That's it for the news.
That's it for the news.
We finished the news. Give it up for Marc. He brought us all through the news.
Woo!
Second part of this show, ladies and gentlemen, is Q&A. That's where we open it up to you folks in the audience, and we take some questions, man. And me and Marc here try to answer to the best of our abilities. Generally speaking, when we do the show at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, most of the questions come from a bunch of people who want to be in the industry or on the fringes of the industry. People wanting to do what we've done and stuff, so we're able to kind of give them the benefit of our experience and whatnot. We don't put on airs and say we know anything or everything, but we can certainly tell you what we've been through and stuff like that. And if it helps your journey toward artistry, all the better. So we open it up to Q&A. What we normally do is give out tickets to the winners. To whoever asks a question, if it's a great question, we give them tickets to a 40X theater, but they don't have a 40X theater up here. So we can't give you tickets to that. But what I did instead was I brought some, it's a little more personal, but it's a little weird, but I'll walk you through it.
Underpants.
I brought 5 T-shirts, but they're my T-shirts. I've been going through a bit of weight fluctuation lately, so some of the T-shirts that I used to wear like don't fit anymore. So what you'll be getting if you win, if you ask a question and it's a good enough question to warrant a prize. I don't know if it's a prize, but you'll be winning one of my old 2XL t-shirts. They've been washed so they don't smell like me and shit, but I bet you, like, if you got a gene splicer, you can pull DNA off these motherfuckers and make another Kevin Smith. So what we'll do is we open it up, 5 questions. All we ask is the question has to relate to both of us. It can't be something like, hey man, what's going on with Jay and Silent Bob reboot? Because that's a question that only I can answer and stuff. So it's something that both of us can answer. If you don't, if that's not it, then you don't win a T-shirt and shit like that.
And I can't apparently talk about Castle Rock because Kev knows nothing about it. So
throw your hands in the air, wave them like just don't care. Bang! I saw you with the glasses. Go ahead, stand up. And ooh, they got a microphone for you. Fantastic. So we'll hear you on the podcast. What's your name, young shaver?
My name's Elliot.
Everyone, give it up for Elliot. Elliot, you are going to swim in one of these 2XL T-shirts, man, but that depends on your question. What do you got for us?
I hope so. I'm going to try not to ramble as I set up this question.
Fair enough.
So for the better part of the last decade, I worked in a video store. And I know you, Kevin, obviously worked in a video store. Mark, I believe you also mentioned
I did. My very first job while I was in high school was at a video store.
Yeah.
But to be fair, those of us who've worked in a video store know that we've never really worked in a video store.
It's true.
That's where we went to hide out from work.
And smuggle porn home.
Yes.
The video store I worked at, in the town I grew up in is Bellingham, Washington, just on the other side of the
I was just there. I bought weed there the other day. As soon as I crossed the border, that was the first place I stopped.
Totally. They used to, we had Blockbuster, we had Hollywood Video, but there were 3 kind of mom and pop video stores in town. Since, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video is closed, 2 of the 3 mom and pop video stores have also closed. Now it's down to the one I used to work at. It's called Film is Truth. If you ever go.
What's it called? Film is Truth?
Film is Truth.
That is such a pretentious video store name, but I love it. Oh my God, you know you're gonna fucking get some good rentals at Film is Truth.
Oh yeah, it's from a guitar quote.
Of course it is.
The owners are kind of like that. I love them. They're good friends still.
I'm surprised it's not in Latin.
Because video stores are closing and that experience is closing on a lot of people. The only reason Film is Truth is still open is because they've decided to go nonprofit to keep the collection of over 20,000 movies in the community. My question for you guys is, being people who have worked in video stores and Kevin having made the ultimate movie about working in a video store, what's your guys' take or thoughts on kind of the death of the video store?
Number one, great fucking question. You're gonna get a T-shirt. Let me see. For me, I mean, look, progress marches forward and shit like that. And if you try to, I've tried to explain to my kid, I was like, no, you don't understand. When we wanted a movie, we'd get in the car and we'd drive to a place and we'd go to it like a library. Well, a library, that's where they have books. A book, that's where, it's like suddenly you're explaining something that makes no sense. And you realize, as you explain, you're like, no, it was great. We would go and we didn't know if we were going to get the movie we wanted. Because if we didn't, we could get something else. And that's how you have major discoveries. Like I found movies that I never would have watched if it weren't for the fact that a new release wasn't in and blah, blah, blah. But, she's of a generation that's just like, but wait, you should be able to get what you want whenever you want it, And it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. You're a fucking millennial. So it's sad for me on one level as a guy who, fucking, that's where I came from. It's weird. Watching video stores disappear, you feel a little bit like Kal-El. You're like, I'm the last son of a dying planet. It's just a weird place to kind of exist, particularly when it was a big part of the fabric of your life. Then you stop to remember it wasn't always there. That came in way later in life, and it had its wonderful run and shit. But we're gonna see. Let's see. I was part of a generation. They wrote pieces about it. Like I remember this big variety piece. Film school generation, the video store generation. Bunch of filmmakers came out the video stores. I was definitely one of them. Quentin Tarantino, of course, was probably the most famous one. Roger Avery, a bunch of us worked in video stores. And there was an article that they wrote in Variety where they talked about like all these movies are dialogue driven. Why is that? And my suggestion was, well, when I was in the store, I'd put on a movie, but I couldn't always watch a movie, but it was always fucking playing, so it was always in my head. That's what a movie is to me, is mostly dialogue and stuff. That will go away. Like, that won't exist. That happenstance of finding things and stuff that way, learning by accident, backing into the rest of your life. That won't really happen anymore, and that's kind of sad. On the other hand, though, it'll happen in a different way. You know, somebody's going to see something on Netflix, or let's be honest, they're going to see something on YouTube that inspires them now. Like, that's the thing that I found out later in life. In the age of YouTube, I've gone on some people's shows and shit like that, and they're always very sweet about, like, oh my God, it's you. And they're way younger, and they were never around like when I was fucking at my prime in the beginning and shit like that. So I don't understand. Is it just a sense of like, oh, I've heard that you used to do things or something like that? But what it is, it's a bunch of people who are like, fucking Clerks made me want to do this. Like, because you made that movie, I realized I could pick up a camera and just shoot me and my friends. And even though I didn't make a feature, like, I went on and created a YouTube show because of that. So there are people who are hungry will get fed someplace else. Sadly, it won't be the way that we were used to being fed or feeding others and stuff like that. The communal experience of coming to a place and chit-chatting with the person behind the counter and shit like that and hoping to get a movie, it just kind of dissipates and goes away. I'm happy, though, that I do have a movie that chronicles it, because now my shit's like a historical document at the end of the day. Like, to prove that, oh no, people would leave their houses to rent a movie. Can you believe this shit? But man, it's fucking sad to see it go. I mean, I'll do you one better, though. Last time I was in New Jersey, I went to a Quick Check in my hometown of Highlands, and I went to fucking check out, and there wasn't even a human being. It was a robotic fucking clerk, man. So I was like, well, that's fucked too. Like, both my shit, man. Convenience stores and video stores, they don't exist, and they don't even need humans anymore. So I'm glad I put that shit on film when I did. But it's weird to see it go. But, you know, at the same time, I can't be like, I'm mad about it, because I never went back. You know, it's not like I would love the video stores so much that I went and opened one myself and stuff. Writing was on the wall. Last time I walked into a video store, a very small storefront, but brand new. Looked like somebody just fucking opened it and shit. And this was within the last year. So I had to, you know, I heard about it. I was at the video store, and like, I think they tweeted me, they're like, pop by. And I was like, who opens a fucking video store in this day and age? Went inside, and the dude there behind the counter and shit. Place is a closet, like smaller than RST Video from Quick Stop and shit. And I was like, this is the dream? And he was like, this was the dream, man. Open a video store. I always wanted to do it and stuff. You know, I was like, but you actually had VHSs up on the wall, not even DVDs. Like, but this is what I grew up with, man. He goes, but let me show you the special feature. And then he goes to the fucking new release section, grabs one of the fucking tapes and pulls it. It triggers a lever and a wall opens up. And what's behind is a bar. And so he's like, that's where we make the money, man. Like, so it's a theme bar. I was like, but do you actually rent the videos? And he goes, yeah, if people come in to rent them, we'll rent them and shit. He's like, there's some people that are like, oh, thank God, VHS. And they come in and rent all the time. He's going, but whenever they grab this movie, like, that opens the door and shit. That's the only release they don't have available. So it's nice. It's kitschy in some places in the world and stuff. But fuck, I'm sad to see it go. You?
I mean, the thing that I missed from the video store generation was the idea of curation. The idea that there was a clerk there who, and it was part of your job to kind of know what your customers wanted, right? But also to know the thing that they liked that they didn't know they would like yet. So it's, hey, you know, you really like RoboCop. Let me turn you on to this thing called Hardware, which you've never seen before, but this will be fucking awesome. And then we're going to go to this Peter Jackson movie, Meet the Feebles, which you've never seen, but it's also kind of like that. And then from there, we're going to bounce to fucking Darkman, because I know you kind of like Sam Raimi, but you also kind of like superheroes, and you've never seen this. What the fuck is wrong with you? And it's learning to expand your mind. It's like, it was like a movie sommelier, right? Like a dude who knew, oh, you want a little tannin in the back of your here, and you want a little fruity afterbite here? Here's the movie for you. You don't know it yet, but this is your new favorite movie. That doesn't exist anymore. We've lost that sense of curation. We've lost that sense of surrendering yourself to not an algorithm, but to a guy who kind of knows who you are, which sounds super fucking dirty. But that discovery, that holy shit, here's a thing that I was never going to see unless somebody recommended to me. You know, and I also think that consequently we've almost lost the cult film, you know, like the thing that just kind of came out and vanished until 3 or 4 years later, we all kind of knew that, hey, you've never seen Crime Wave, have you? No. All right. Well, now you need to, and then you're going to see it, and you're going to turn it out to a friend, and then a friend, and then a friend, and then a friend. That almost, almost sexually transmitted passing of a movie doesn't exist in that same way anymore. I mean, every now and again, there's, you got to see the fucking Babadook, or, oh man, you really got to go see Train to Busan, or, oh shit, you got to go see this thing, or The Raid, or whatever it is. But there used to be an entire industry of cult movies, and things that we realized as cult movies don't exist that way anymore. And I miss that. I miss that, like, oh shit, I mean, I never saw Princess Bride in the theater, but now it's a part of my life, and it wouldn't have been a part of our lives if it hadn't been for a video store. And so that entire economy of cult feels gone to me, and that saddens me, and I wish it would come back. I wish that VHS would become like vinyl, in the, oh hey, you know that music? You know that movie you love? Would you like to see it in like the worst fucking quality? Have I got a store for you? Here's a $1,000 VHS player and like the best shitty tube TV, and you can recreate the experience from 1983. I'm sure some hipster in fucking Brooklyn already has that locked down. But like that would be kind of neat. Like one of my favorite things to do is I still have a bunch of old VHS tapes at home that I used to use as like shelving. Like I'm gonna put a couple 2x4s on this stack of tapes and just pulling one off and popping it in the fucking VHS, which I still have connected to some TV, and watching the dumb fucking commercials from like 1983 between episodes of like Next Generation that I had taped. What are they trying to sell me here? Did Burger King really have a handicapped mascot named Wheels? Really, Burger King? Fuck.
I forgot about that. From Herb to Wheels.
To Wheels. But that weird like pop archaeology, like I'm digging fucking deep. I'm unearthing the hidden arcana of the past. You can only do on VHS these days. It's time travel, really, and I love it about that. And I wish that there was a world in which, I mean, YouTube is also that thing, but you're looking for it. You don't stumble into, oh shit, I bought that toy. Huh, cool. That's what I miss the most.
You know what I didn't realize when I first took that job? What I thought it was the job of a lifetime, because I was like, you're gonna fucking pay me to like watch movies? They're like, well, technically no. Like, but that's all I heard. I was like, video store? Oh my God, I'm gonna watch movies all fucking day long and shit like that. Even if I have to like wash the counter down once a day, they still can't stop me from fucking watching movies. And I thought that's what I wanted most about that job. But when I had the job, what I realized was that was the initial draw. Like, what could be better than that? But what I realized what could be better than that is the erudition. For the first time in my life, I can literally offer opinion or talk about shit knowledgeably that people were interested in. It wasn't just like, oh my God, you're way too into movies. Like, it was a movie store. The fact that I was into movies was a benefit. So you could turn people on to shit and whatnot. And that was later fed by social media, right? Like at the end of the day, now I could jump online and show off my erudition as opposed to just the 25 people that would come through the door on the average day at the video store. But back then, that's where it began. Like the idea of like, oh shit, like this matters. For years I was told knowing this shit means nothing. You're wasting your time with this crap. Why do you know all this? Why don't you learn your schoolwork instead of this? And suddenly there was a place where all that bullshit was fucking useful in the real world. Like a job or knowing what Buckaroo Banzai is and being able to pass it off to somebody and shit got you them coming in the next day being like, that was great. You got any more like that and stuff like that. So that a sense of self-worth, something that I took into my job for the rest of my life. Like literally, what are we doing up here except the same shit I would do at the video store, bullshit with customers, come in, tell my opinion, talk about like, do you see the fucking picture of that Joker? But this time it was Jack Nicholson, and shit like that. So it's the same thing. That I found a different venue for it. Like, and as much as I miss the video store, I'll be honest with you, you cover more ground online being like, these are my thoughts on movies. But that's where the bug first bit me. That's where I realized like, oh shit, I could be able to talk about this like for real, maybe for a living, eventually graduated to that place where like, this is what I do for a living. I talk about pop culture. That all started right there, man. That place made me feel like I had something to add to that conversation. I grew up in a world full of fucking sports, and I never had anything to add to the conversation other than, boy, that looks hurty, and shit like that. So to be in a world where suddenly like the shit that I cared about, Like, I didn't have to belabor fucking friend. You know, growing up, I had one fucking friend who loved Star Wars like I did, and he lived in New York. He only came down for the summers. So the rest of the year, I would talk to people like, hey, man, you want to play Star Wars? They're like, oh, I saw that movie once. Doesn't it have a space dog in it? You know, and I'm like, you fucking heathen, you know, and so like being able to sit in a place where knowing stupid shit and talking about movies was valued by the people that would come in gave you a sense of like importance, not self-importance, but like, oh shit, I'm finally part of the conversation as opposed to outside of the conversation. So I miss that aspect of it as well. It kind of grew me. It's where the person that you guys know was first fucking born, really, in the video store. Boy, that made us all sad. But you win a T-shirt. Give it up for him, man. Oh, shit.
Man, we need a fucking cannon.
That was a terrible throw on my behalf.
Sports.
Well done. All right, here we go. Sports. You pick the next one.
Let's see. Where are we going to go? Ooh, over here.
Beautiful. The microphone.
Walk it.
Look how excited you are about it, man. Like you won something. You didn't even get a shirt yet. What's your name, young camper?
I am Jared.
Everyone, Jared?
Hey, Jared.
Everyone give it up for Jared, man. Everything I've done for you.
But anyways, in your guys' time in the industry, what has been like the most frustrating experience that you guys have ever had that you had to stay the most courteous in?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So you're gonna get a shirt. But B, my short answer is Bruce Willis. That was that, and again, it's now I've had years past it and shit, and I'll play my part or whatever. I went there with high expectations because I was a big fan of the man, big fan of his work going back to childhood, and perhaps he was unnerved by how much of a fan I was or whatever the fuck. But the experience, as I've talked about many times, was a tough one. But that was mine. Yours?
I wrote a comic book a while back called Genius. Came out for Image. The first issue came out in 2009, and we finally finished it in 2014. But after the first issue came out, we got a little bit of interest from Hollywood, as happens. And so the production company that's currently run, maybe, I don't know how much he has to do with it anymore, but by, let's just call him the biggest movie star on the planet, and it's not Tom Cruise, decided hey, we'd like to take a run at this. And my writing partner, Adam Freeman, and I said, fuck yeah, of course. Like, let's have a talk about it. Let's get on the phone, and we'll have a meeting. And so we get on the phone with them, and in case you don't know what the book is, it's about, in every generation there is a military genius. What if our Napoleon or Hannibal or Alexander the Great was a 17-year-old black girl from South Central who decided to take on the LAPD and secede 4 square blocks from the Union? It's about siege. It's about police brutality. It's about devaluation of human life. It's about all of those things, but also with fucking explosions and gunfire and helicopter attacks and all of that shit. And but it's very much rooted in the place and in the time and in the conflict. Like, those things felt sort of immovable for us. And so this company comes in and says, hey, listen, we love the book. We really, really do. What if instead of taking place in the present day, it took place in the future after like an apocalypse? But that's not the book. Oh no, we love the book. The book is amazing. But what if instead of the LAPD, it was also like private security? And what if it was like post-earthquake, and like roving gangs and...
It sounded like they had something they wanted to do.
Right.
And they wanted to graft your thing onto it.
Totally. Or we kind of like this. We're afraid of having a protagonist who's killing cops. So what if we made it like Mad Max, but like Mad Max and 24 at the same time? Like, what if it's like Long Beach private security instead of LAPD? And what if it's like everything's on fire, so it's a post-apocalypse, and we understand why people are pushed to the brink? And to have to sit through this meeting, again, with the production company run by the biggest movie star in the world, and not flip a table, and not just like, fuck you, no. If you want to buy the book, buy the book. If you don't want to buy the book and make that thing, go make that. I'll go see that fucking thing. All of those things I like, just not for this. The reason why we all love this is the very thing you're trying to bastardize with that version of it. So that sense of remembering that the only real power we had in that scenario was no. Like, we still owned it. It was still ours. If we said yes, then we cede all responsibility and all sort of any right to complain if we said yes. So we didn't. And it was like to have to say, yeah, no, I understand. I see that version of it. No, sure, yeah, I can, that might work, maybe, but not with us. So yeah, that was not Bruce Willis, but still a...
Yeah, you got off fucking light, man. I cried most days. That's a great question. You win a shirt. Give it up for her, man.
Woo! Oh, better.
Nice catch. Yeah,
Nice.
I went righty that time. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hand up, man. I saw you first, dead center. What's your name while you're walking over there? Lex? Fucking A, man. I never met one in real life. Give it up for Lex.
Hey guys.
Hey, you got your hair, too.
I got my head. Oh yeah. First I want to say it's nice that somebody else. I'm from a town, Brantford, Ontario.
Oh, right on, man.
Nobody knows that.
Brantford, that's the hometown of Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, my grandma's house was attached to his parents' house. So when I was a kid, I guess, like I was throwing the ball in the backyard or something, and he threw it back to me, and I did not know. So I was like 8.
What the fuck? You're a Canadian? You didn't realize Jesus himself fucking threw you a ball?
Well, I was 8. I was like 8-ish.
Verratti Avenue, right? That's where he lives.
Yes.
Lived. I mean, you don't live there anymore.
I was the street over, which I can't remember now because she passed away, but it was something. Sorry, I can't remember.
Shit went dark there for a second. Sorry.
I don't know why I can't remember anything, but the street that my grandma lived on. But never mind. Anyways, my question for you is about the industry.
Yes.
I moved here because I am an aspiring actor.
He just loves acting in general.
Who doesn't? And there wasn't much in that town, so I would go to Toronto here and there, but obviously if I live here, it's a lot easier. So my question is, moving here, would you have any tips as far as finding like a good agent, what's good and what's bad? Because I had an agent in Toronto and she was terrible. So it's hard to tell, like, is it you? Like, if you have an agent, she is working for you, putting you out there, they don't like your look or whatever, or is it she just a bad agent? Like, any tips, kind of, because there's so many out here. I have a background agent right now, but I want a principal one.
You have an agent to do background work?
Yeah, you get an agent for background work. It's easier. They
God, there's a fucking agent for everything, man. Really?
They do stand-in work as well, which I think I'm something for the Flash, because they called me earlier today, but just background work anyways. But
That's work, though, man. Fucking, like, work's work.
Bills, and it gets you a feel for the set, which is why I do it. I just want to feel what it's like to shoot out here.
Right.
So yeah, I just wanted a little bit of, if you had either one of you, both of you.
All right, let me see. Agents. How do I feel about agents? I've had a weird, and I've had them for years since the beginning, since I got in this business. So I'm in this business now. It's coming up on in January. It'll be 25 years. So 25 years, my relationship with agents has been all over the boards. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, all they do is get your salary up 10% so they can take that, and shit like that. That's the old man in me crank when I say things. But I have wonderful agents, the ones who book me in shows, live shows like this and whatnot. Seth, he's fantastic. I've got my agent, my key agent now is, his name is Jordan Surf, but we call him Boy Jordan because we have a Jordan in our company, girl Jordan, Jason Muse's wife. So Boy Jordan, who he hates hearing it, but that's his name now.
I'm a man, damn it.
Yeah, he always says that. He goes, I am a man. I'm like, you're Boy Jordan. And so Boy Jordan has been absolutely wonderful. He's got me like into rooms for amazing fucking gigs that I can't talk about yet and stuff like that. So I can speak to agents being good when you're at a place. Like I was already at a place in my career where, you could kind of sell me easier. If I'm an unknown quantity, you got to convince people. Since I got a tail behind me, they could be like, well, fucking, are you into Kevin Smith? If so, he's for sale and shit like that. So, see in the window, McGilla Gorilla. So I've found that in my experience, I know there's some. I've known actors who've had agents who are like fucking devoted, like they believe in their client and they're going to take them all the way, and eventually they do and stuff like that. I've never really had that. Like I started my career with a thing, right? Like I had a movie to show, so suddenly people were like, "Oh!" Once somebody bought the movie, they're like, "You are talented now," and so they were interested in representing me. I've never had an agent have to go out there and try to like get work for me. The agents have always had it easy because I've always been able to set up things that I've wanted to do. So that being said, I don't know if I'm the best person to address it, but I will say, let me see, what was my best advice? Never pay somebody if they're like, you got to pay me to be your agent.
That was my mistake in Toronto. I think it was like $1,800 I paid her.
But I mean, from your percentages, or you had to get.
No, it was like it was like 10 years ago now. 'Cause I'm 28, so it was when I was 18.
When you were a kid. Oh, they fucked you, man.
Headshots and stuff, but then it was she didn't really do much.
There's a bit of that too. Like it's like any other business. There's a junks and there's things that are connected, right? So what I've heard, like my kid went through all this fairly recently, so I guess I can speak to it more knowledgeably. Over the course of the last year, she went. You know, she after she graduated high school, she's like, I want to be an actress. And so at one point for her, it was so fucking important to get an agent. You know, and I'm her dad, so I want to tell her like, oh my God, fucking don't do it. Like, you don't need an agent. Like, are you crazy? Fucking like, they only get you up 10% to take it away and shit like that. But for her, she's like, hey man, this is like working actresses. Like, you go into an audition, you got to have an agent and fucking blah, blah, blah. So she went on the hunt. And at one point, my wife was like, we got to go on a meeting with her. She's meeting with this agency I've never heard of. We should go to the meeting. And so I was like, okay. I mean, I was trying to let her do her own thing. So I don't want to fucking step in. Like, that's her journey and blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to help and shit. But like, I don't want to. And she's like, do you want her to fall into the hands of some creepoids and shit? I'm like, well, fucking, they're not all creepoids. They're just lazy and stuff. So I was like, all right, let's go meet with the agency to see what they're all about and whatnot. And so we met with them, and it was really fascinating to be in that meeting because it was, I'm not a fly on the wall because they can't ignore me. I'm obviously there, and they're like, oh shit, it's that guy. But the pitch, the rap, the sell that they gave my kid, like, I got experience. I've been in the business almost a quarter of a century. So to me, it's just all fucking hype and words. Like they were sitting there going like, my agency, the one I'm at now, they got me years ago. I was a sucker because they said this to me. They're like, we work so hard. We make money while you sleep. You go to sleep, we're making money for you. You wake up, you got free money. And I believed that. And so I was like, you're my agents. And so they've never made money while I sleep ever and shit. And so they were giving my kid the money while you sleep pitch. And I was like, I fucking fell for this shit 20 years ago. Like, but I got to let her make her decision. She wants to find her agency. But I heard at one point they had an agent come in. He was adorable. He had 2 fucking separate Bluetooths in. Oh. He was fucking busy, you know what I'm saying? So very successful. So he came in late, like everyone else was sitting there, these new partners, and this was a startup agency, a boutique agency. Somebody had left one of the smaller boutique agencies that's well-known, like Gersh or something like that, and went and created their own boutique agency. I'm going to, Jerry Maguire, I'm going to take my clients with me and shit like that. And so there were a few of them, and they were all dudes, which I thought right away, what a mistake. You're meeting a young actress, you're going to put 4 fucking dudes in a room? Like, all right, thank God me and the wife are here. And so we're sitting there, and 3 people are talking and pitching on their new agency and how great it's going to be. Then the dude with 2 Bluetooths comes in, sits down and shit like that. And he's like the too cool for school, like legend. The fucking, he looks like, if you looked up agent in a dictionary, there's his picture and shit. So he sits down and he goes, let me tell you what we do. Because he heard where we were in the discussion. He goes, this is what we do for you as an agency. And mind you, this agency was about 20 minutes old. So, like, whatever he's talking about, it's not what they can do. It's what he's done in the past, maybe. But this I found incredibly weird. He goes, we get the client the part. Like, we're not just going to, like, send your daughter out for a part. We're going to get her that part. And I was like, how do you do that? And he's like, because what we do is we call afterwards. So she goes in for the audition, and then we spend the next 2 weeks calling like crazy every day, just pushing and pushing the client. So now, I'm like, that works? And they're like, yes, man, because we advocate for the client in such a big, bad way. We changed minds. Now, I'm not bragging, but I've been in this business a fucking minute and shit like that. And I've casted movies over the course of my career. And nobody has ever changed my mind, let alone an agent going like, you gotta hire my client. My client's right for the part. It's like, you don't fucking know what I want. So that's never in my experience, and I've known other filmmakers, I've never heard them say like, well, I wanted to cast this person, but this fucking agent talked me out of it and I cast their client instead. It's never fucking happened. And that's what the dude was selling in the room. So, it was hard to not pipe up and be like, look, if you did that, like, I'd never cast your client. And then I would tell your clients that they should drop you as their fucking agency. But my wife looked at me because I leaned forward in the seat and she goes like this, we're just here to observe, I don't have any practical advice, but I can say this. If you establish yourself, then at least you've got skin in the game. You've got the benefit of knowing I generate the fucking work and stuff like that. But that's not the answer you're looking for. You take over.
I can't really speak to what it's like as an actor because I'm not entirely sure. For me, I'm a person who creates something. Like I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write a script, and I'm going to then present that script to somebody who will either believe in it or not, or believe in me or not. As an actor, you are responsive. Like they're looking for this. I'm going to go and be this thing for them. And I'm not sure how you can decide which agent can help you in that manner. I will say that also having been on casting sessions, the weirdest thing is that no matter how prepared you are as an actor for an audition, no matter how much you believe in it, no matter how much you fucking ran the lines and you found the character and you believe in it, you probably will or will not get that role in the first 5 minutes they see you. And it's merciless and it's awful, but it's like, oh no, we thought about a guy with a smaller nose. And it's not in your control at all. But you're not like winning that part once they have already decided based on something you have no control over whatsoever is awful. Like it's horrible. I don't know how you people do it. But I will tell you
Good advice.
Good advice. I'll tell you this story. I had signed with a relatively big agency, one of the 2 or 3 big agencies in Hollywood, and the agent who decided to take me on, who I didn't pay up front because don't do that.
That's the key walk away.
Yeah,
never pay an agent.
Never pay up
They
front.
can take a percentage of what they
Don't do that
make
again.
for you, what you make if they set up the job. But other than that, no money should change hands.
Right. So they said, all right, well, what do you want? They read a pilot that I wrote. They really liked it. They said, well, what do you want to do next? And I says, well, here's 3 or 4 ideas that I have, but here's the one that I really believe in. Here's the one that I believe, waiting my entire life to write. They said, great, go write that one. So I did. I took like 6 months and I wrote this pilot, and I loved it, and I loved it to death. And the agents were like, we thought it was going to be something else, and it's not that thing, and I don't know, we can send it out, but it's not, we don't believe in it the way you believe in it. And so after like 6 months of them kind of half-ass representing me, we had like the come to Jesus meeting where it's, all right, listen, I'm pretty sure that the next job I get will be a job that I get because I know enough people and I believe enough that I think that the network will work for me. Not like CBS, but the network of my people will work for me. And they said, well, part of our problem is that, the latest sample we just didn't quite respond to, and we want to be able to get you the jobs that you think you're going to get for yourself, so it's not working out. 4 months later, so they dropped me, kind of flat. Mutual breakup is what I tell myself. 4 months later, a buddy of mine, again, in my network, was like, hey, so these guys are doing the Stephen King show, and I'm pretty sure they need you on that staff. What's your latest sample? And I says, well, here's the thing that I believe in more than anything. And he said, all right, send it to me. So I sent it to him. He sent it to them. They call me in for a meeting, and I get this job. I get Castle Rock because a buddy of mine knew the guys and made that connection for me. Fast forward 8 months after that, and I get new reps because I got Castle Rock without an agent. Like that just happened because I knew a guy. I signed on with new reps. They read that pilot and it says, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go and sell this thing in 2 months. And I said, oh, shit. All right, if you say so. In 2 months, we went out, we pitched it, we sold it. And then my new agent had breakfast with my old agent who dropped me. And she was like, yeah, I really fucking blew it on that, didn't I? It's like, yeah, you did. You really did, because you didn't believe. Like, find somebody who...
You had your pretty woman moment.
I
Big
totally did.
mistake.
Big fucking mistake. And if you scroll back through my Instagram, the day that I sold that was my day of the week post. Was fucking like, big fucking mistake.
Really? That's awesome.
And they said, like, we just didn't believe. And that's the thing, is find somebody who believes in you, find somebody who believes in your work, find somebody who believes in your potential, and then we'll hit the ground for you and try and execute that vision to the best of their, like, get you in the room, get you the support. It doesn't work for actors. You really got to get this guy the part. Like, that's not how that goes. But advocate for you. Because if somebody believes in you and believes in your potential and believes in your quality, then they will, regardless of the size of the agency, regardless of where they're at, if they believe, then belief is that's the only currency in Hollywood, really. It's belief and money, but mostly belief. So find somebody who believes, find somebody who responds to you and sees that, no, in 5 years we can get you what you want. It's gonna suck for a while, it's gonna be hard for a while, you're gonna get more no's than yeses, but in 5 years we can make you something. And go with that person. And don't pay them anything until they make you money.
What's your name, lady person, as you make your way to the mic?
Yeah.
Emily? Elizabeth. Give it up for Elizabeth, man.
I'm sorry, bros. We'll get a chance.
What a great question.
Ooh.
You want to go first?
I can go first. The first comic book I ever read was The Savage Sword of Conan, issue 107. If you're not familiar with The Savage Sword of Conan, it is not a book you should give to an 11-year-old boy to read. My dad knew that I was kind of into, like, fantasy and sword and sorcery and science fiction, and so he found the comic book shop in the new town we just moved in, and went and, like, bought some shit, thinking this guy, he'll love this stuff. And he bought, like, Savage Sword of Conan is like, there's nudity and beheadings and, like, crazy fucking sexual assaults that you should not even be putting in a comic book, but this was 1982 and they didn't give a fuck. And so he brings home this, like, and it's in the brown paper bag, like, you can't just have this hanging out. And so I open it up and my brain fucking explodes. And I found them, like, 2 or 3 months ago, like this giant fucking cardboard box filled with these old Savage Sword of Conan books. And it just, for me, I didn't know that that's what comics could be. You know, I was familiar with Superman and Batman and Spider-Man, but I wasn't the reader of them that I would be 2 or 3 years afterwards. But, like, that book was, oh shit, you're doing this in comics? Oh shit, they're not just for kids anymore. They never were just for kids. You know, like the idea that comics had been some juvenile form of literature when they would sell 2 and 3 and 4 million copies at a clip. Not just kids are buying them.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I never thought about that.
Yeah, like, come on, Captain America in 1973 was selling like 7 million copies an issue, and it wasn't even that good then. But yeah, it was Savage Sword of Conan. That was the book that for me got me to go to a comic book store, and thus began a lifelong love.
I was let me see, 5? Yeah, 5. Late 4, cusp of 5, or just happened around the time of my 5th birthday. My old man worked at a post office sectional center. He was a stamp canceller. So he was a mailman, but he didn't deliver mail. He was a guy who worked in a building and shit. So I'd be like, my dad's a mailman. They're like, I never seen him deliver the mail. I was like, oh, he don't do that. But so he was a stamp canceller and stuff like that. He worked in Shrewsbury, which is a few miles from where we grew up and stuff. So on his way home most mornings, like once a month, he'd get a fucking haircut at this place, Vinny the Barber and shit, because it was right by his work. So because of that, that's where me and my brother and my sister wound up going all the time. We would go to Vinny the Barber. My sister would get a bowl cut and shit like that. So Vinny the Barber experience was, you know, barber chair, like old-timey and shit like that. But I was so young, they put a board across the arms of the chair, so I sat on top of the board, so otherwise I'd be below the chair and he couldn't cut my hair and shit. So Dad takes us to Vinny the Barber, and it's a name that has magic in my house because I've heard it my whole life but never seen it. Like, Dad, my mom would be like, where were you? He's like, I just got back from Vinny. She's like, oh, it looks good. And I was like, who's Vinny, Mom? Vinny the Barber. And so, you know, that name had magic. One day I actually met Vinny the Barber and shit. And he lived up to every expectation I had. He was like a Muppet come to life. Just a very colorful old man and shit like that. And very Italian. And so we'd come into place and whatnot. And he'd be like, come sit. I'll get the board out for the boy. And he'd put the board on the chair and then I'd sit on it. So we got there second time, not even the fucking first time. First time I met Vinny, got my hair cut and shit. Gave me a lollipop at the end of it. Everything about it was amazing and shit. Second time I went back, there were people ahead of me. So we were sitting in the waiting area. And in the waiting area, he had a little black and white rabbit ear television. And under it had magazine pile. And then right next to it, comic book pile. Now, I was familiar with the Super Friends, of course, from the TV show. And I was familiar with Adam West Batman. That was in reruns. But I'd never actually seen the renditions in comic books. So the first comic book I ever see, pulled out from under the fucking TV, is an issue of Hot Stuff the Little Devil. If you don't know the character, he is Richie Rich in hell. He's basically a little demon shit. He's a good demon, right? Like he's Casper. He's the demon version, the demonic version of Casper. Friendly ghost and shit. So, but he's a friendly demon. So I was a young Catholic boy. That appealed to me. I'm like, Satan? So I read that and shit. Right after that, second comic I read, Sad Sack, which was a Beetle Bailey kind of knockoff. About life in the army. I didn't enjoy it because the military is beyond my understanding, and so it didn't catch me the way Hot Stuff did. So I made halfway through and I went to put it down. What I saw when I went to put it down was the third comic under it, which was a Batman. I think it was the issue. It's a very famous cover, giant Joker, Batman kind of crucified on a playing card and stuff like that. Classic cover. I forget which number it is right now. That was my first Batman. I saw Batman on the cover, and I knew Batman from TV, so I was like, Batman! And so I dug into it, and it was everything. It was, of course, I think it was drawn by, what's his fucking name? I'm sorry, somebody just said it. Yes, it was a Neil Adams. So it was, this was an incarnation of Batman that I wasn't used to. He certainly looked a little bit like the Super Friends version, although far more detailed. But he didn't look like the Adam West Batman that was my Batman, short ears and stuff like that. This was the Dark Knight Detective. But that was the first Batman I ever put my hands on, read it from fucking cover to cover, fell in love with the format of a comic book. I was very familiar with comic strips, of Sunday newspapers and shit like that, and the regular weekday newspapers. But comic books, the structure, the letters column, the ads in it, everything, and the smell. I think, as I circle the drain from this life, one of the fucking things that'll flash through my memory is very distinct, is that smell of a comic book, old comic book particularly, and they're all kind of old at a certain point. The old paper they used to print on and stuff. All of it, the gestalt of it, made me fucking fall in love and stuff. And so from that point forward, I would ask Mom, can I have 50 cents to buy this comic book? Well, 25 at that point. Can I have 25 cents to buy this? They were that cheap when I was a kid. And my parents were so cheap, they'd be like, we can't afford that, so.
You can have one.
Yeah, you got television, watch that. So it was a life-changing moment, man, and I still remember the order of them. But the one that captured my imagination was the most was the superhero book. I didn't keep reading Hot Stuff, and I never went back to Sad Sack. But the superhero concept, I fell in love with at a young age, probably because I was raised to believe in my own superhero, Jesus. And so, I was already kind of in the mode of, good is better than bad. But what I loved about it is the same thing I still love about all this shit, man. They tell stories about the worst thing in the world happening, the worst thing imaginable. Sometimes shit you could never imagine they fucking throw at you and shit like that. And everyone's running from it, as they should. All good-thinking, sensible fucking people. And then for some reason, people dressed in the most colorful outfits head toward it. I loved that. I got that when I was a kid. I was like, oh my God, they're fucking doing the right thing. This, it just appealed to me in a big bad fucking way, and became my moral barometer more so than the Catholic Church I was raised in, because that was a bunch of rules. You got to do this, and if you don't, you're gonna fucking go to hell and shit. A lot of threats and whatnot. The reading the stories in the comics gave you the moral barometer, taught you that doing the right thing was the right thing to do, without giving you the heavy-handed kind of or else and punishment to it. So I honestly feel like my moral barometer came more from reading comics than being raised in the church. I was an altar boy, so I saw behind the curtain. I know how the sausage is made and shit. So comic books did it more for me. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Just let it sit there.
You're not making it any better. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Leave it.
I just want to look at it.
Touch it. Touch it. Don't touch it.
Yeah, pivotal moment in life. You answered? I answered? That's a great question. You get a fucking t-shirt. Well done. You're going to fit 9 of you into that t-shirt, man. Make a small tent from it. All right, we got one t-shirt left, and it's a red version of the one I'm wearing. Me as 3 pop characters that I've portrayed in real life.
You pick it.
Yeah? Who wants it fucking bad, man? That ain't good enough. Yeah? You think so? You're not guaranteed. Well, I mean, but you got to ask the question. You went to sit down. You're like, fuck it. I want guarantees. All right, man. What's your name? Everyone give it up for Andy. He went to VFS. All right, get right up to the mic so we can all hear you.
So, what do you guys think culturally the impact live action Miss Marvel can have, especially in these very divisive times?
Mm-hmm. That's the question?
That's the question. Because there were rumors, and what were your thoughts?
All right.
Of Miss Marvel or
Miss Marvel.
Captain Marvel?
Kamala Khan? Okay. I think there's this great clip that circulated online a couple days ago that I had signal boosted because I loved it, and it was a supercut and it was called like the female age of superheroes.
Oh, I watched that.
And it's fucking awesome. And granted, it's just, again, you're just stealing like the most amazing images from the most amazing movies.
Some of my favorite filmmakers in the world are people that put those clips together on fucking YouTube, where they're just like, I went through every superhero movie and put all the girl superheroes together, and you roll a fucking tear. You're like, you're doing the Lord's work.
But I think that when you see stuff like that, and when you're especially confronted with the totality of it, you begin to realize that there are people who have never seen themselves on screen and never seen themselves centered in these stories on screen. And so to at some point present into the world a story about a female Muslim superhero from Jersey represent, that changes minds, that shifts perception. It alters, in many cases, the path that somebody's life can go down, because they never might have thought that was possible for them. Now, granted, they will not turn themselves into female Muslim superheroes because it's fiction, but the sense that this stuff is for you as much as it is for anybody else, that Hollywood is finding value in you, is powerful. It's really powerful. It's a sense of worth that some people don't have. There was a great video clip of when Black Panther came out, and it was a couple of kids standing under like a Black Panther poster, a couple of black kids. I think they were in Baltimore or something. And one of these kids looks up at the poster and says, "Is this what white people feel every day?" and it's
I hate to tell you, kid, no.
But when the world has not been calibrated for you and suddenly there's a glimmer of you in the world, that matters in a big, bad fucking way. And there was another, not to harp on Black Panther, but there was a commercial for Black Panther toys. And so they had this kid fucking running around, playing with his friends, whatever, and the kid lifts the Black Panther mask and it's a white kid. And to understand what that means, to understand the sense that, hey, there's a little white kid out there tomorrow who wants to pretend to be a black kid, is phenomenal for little black kids who've been told for years, nobody really wants to be you. Look at the rest of the world. Nobody wants to be black. Come on. We are black. We don't want to be black. But that sense that there's value the world sees in you, I think is tremendously important. And if that movie gets made, I think that it alters lives. And I think that's no small feat. Kev?
I will never forget going to see Wonder Woman with my wife. Now, I cry at the drop of a hat. I'm a middle-aged stoner. Everything touches me and stuff. So, I see superhero movies. I see superhero trailers, and I get emotional. Like I wound up working on The Flash because I put up a video of me crying watching the season finale of season 1 and stuff. So I'm a Mark. I'm a sucker for this. This shit sweeps my heart. It's breathtaking. Makes me fucking cry. My wife, she rolls her eyes at most of the shit that makes me emotional and whatnot. Like, and she knows whenever I come into the room out of nowhere and come sit at her desk, she's like, "Oh boy, what did Batman do now?" You know, like he's got a dick. You know,
It's so big.
it's so huge. She's like, "I've taken an interest in Batman." So she's not a Mark for this shit. She don't really get into it. And, you know, Wonder Woman, she was like, "I'll go to that." And I was like, "Really?" Like, I go to all these Marvel movies, she really won't go. I dragged her to Infinity War. I was like, "This is fucking important." And she did at the end. She was like, "Oh, you know what? I really like that." I was like, right. I was like, "Watch the rest with me." She goes, "I'm good." And so we went to see Wonder Woman. And, you know, when it, 3 minutes, 4 minutes into the movie, like, you know, we're on Themyscira. I feel the chair to my right, and hence mine, because they're butted up against each other, vibrating. And it's not one of those 40X theaters where the chair is supposed to vibrate and shit. And I look over, and my wife is bawling, fucking shuddering, crying so hard that she's like doing that fucking shit. But like a weird, not like, "Oh my God, are you hurt?" joyful cry. So I was like, "You all right?" She goes, "You have no idea how long I waited to see something like this." She's like, "Never had this." She's the closest I ever had was Princess Leia firing a gun in Star Wars. At which point my daughter was like, "Shh," and we stopped talking. And then after the movie, that's all we fucking talked about. She was like, "Oh my God, I love the movie." I was like, "Look, I really liked it too, but that third act, man, with fucking like, you know, with, you know, that was kind of like a Zack Snyder." And she looked at me like, "How dare you? You just spit on history." And I was like, "No, I didn't spit on it. Just thought, you know, at the end it turned into the standard." She was like, "There's nothing standard about that." She's going, "You get to go to a movie any day of the week and see yourself up there." I was like, "They don't put fat guys in costumes." She's like, "You know what I'm talking about. You got representation." She's going, "That was incredible. If I'd had that when I was a child, if I could see that that's what was possible, that like I wasn't meant to be somebody's fucking girlfriend in a movie or a Mark or something like that." She's like, "Oh my God, what would the difference have made?" So I remember that. Like, you know, it was kind of a weird moment for me. I'm woke. I became a little woke at that moment. Because I was sitting there going, "Oh shit!" Like I take for granted that everybody sees movies the same way I do, but clearly that was never the case. So yes, if they can make a version of Ms. Marvel that is the version of Ms. Marvel that, you know, people are like, "Man, fuck, I've never seen that before." Isn't that a good thing? Like at the end of the day, of course, it's an absolutely good thing. I support that 100%, but nobody's asking me except you. Thank God, man.
Yeah, well done.
And that got a great answer out of him, so that gets a fucking shirt. VFS forever, man. Oh my God, folks. Fuck, that went late. We are out of news and we're out of fucking shirts to give away. So that means the show at 11 o'clock is at an end, ladies and gentlemen. Did you have a good time this evening? I can't thank you enough for coming out. Thanks especially to the Rio for finding space for us to do the show and whatnot while the movies are going on and stuff. But there is the person we got to thank the most, man, is the person to my left. There is no show without the guy sitting next to me. Give it up for marvelous Marc Bernardin.
Aw, you guys.
And that is Fat Man Beyond for this week. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernard.
Tune in next time. Same fat chime, same fat channel, smartcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
Fat Man Forever. Good night, Vancouver.